Dazod 500 presents Canadian Elections of History. The 33rd election in Canadian history happened on the 4th of September 1984, where the incumbent Prime Minister John Turner had scheduled an election. Wait a minute, John Turner? I'm fairly certain that I watched the last video and it clearly said Pierre Elliott Trudeau won. Well, earlier in the year, Trudeau retired from politics after making some very controversial patronage appointments. The progressive conservative leader, Brian Mulroney, who's been leader since the 11th of June 1983, running from the seat of Manicouagan, really stuck it to John Turner for appointing 70 more patronage appointments in his 2-year stint in office. Here's what Mulroney had to say during the debate.
And people a deep apology for having indulged in that kind of practice with those kinds of appointments.
Well, I've told you and told the Canadian people, Mr. Mulroney, that I had no option.
Well,
Truman, your next question,
you
please.
had an option, sir. You could have said, I am not going to do it. This is wrong for Canada, and I am not going to ask Canadians to pay the price. You had an option, sir, to say no, and you chose to say yes to the old attitudes and the old stories of the Liberal Party. That, sir, if I may say respectfully, that is not good enough for Canadians.
I had no option if I was able
That
to
is an
perform
avowal
that.
of failure. That is a confession of non-leadership, and this country needs leadership. You had an option, sir. You could have done better.
John Turner really thought that he was smart by scheduling this election because he didn't necessarily have to schedule this election until 1985. The reason why he did schedule this election this year was because the Liberals were leading in the polls. He must have thought he was so smart. What he didn't realize was Queen Elizabeth II and Pope John Paul II were coming to Canada that year. And many people didn't even know John Turner, despite Canada's Kennedy and the finance minister under Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Many people still didn't recognize his name. If he had toured with Queen Elizabeth II and Pope John Paul II, recognizability could probably be very high for John Turner and may have ended up him winning this election. Turner's unpopularity, who has been leader since the 16th of June 1984 and running from Vancouver Quadra, really helped an NDP party candidate, Ed Broadbent, who's been the leader since the 7th of July 1975, running from Oshawa, because NDP has been historically known to be to the left of the Liberal Party, which is why many predicted that Turner's party would fall behind the NDP's. Did that happen? When 75.3% people turned out to vote, it determined that the winner would win the largest amount of seats ever to this day in Canadian history, 211, winning 6,278,818 votes, and 50.03%. The winner would be John Turner. Yeah, I'm just kidding with you. The winner was Brian Mulroney, who had the largest majority in Canadian history and still does hold that record to this day. This marked only the second time that the Progressive Conservatives would be in power since 1963, 21 years ago. Only a 9-month brief period when Joe Clark was head of government would that streak be broken by the Liberals. Absolutely insane stuff. And you have an option, sir, to see me in the next election of 1988.